They never let her tell her side in court, but honestly, they really should have. Camera barrels down on the courthouse steps, 2024. Richard Voss, hands strapped tight behind his back, steps into that Texas sun like he just crawled out of hibernation. 7 years underground, and the lights got him squinting like a vampire caught midday. Reporters dive in with mics, crowding in like seagulls at a beach picnic. So, how's it feel? Convictions wiped clean now, huh? Voss grins, all teeth. Maybe ask the guy who railroaded me. Gavel cracks the air like a firecracker on the 4th. Verdict spills out, but the tape twists static, fries the audio like a radio picking up a ghost station. Then blackout. File drawer shuts with a metal groan. Silence hangs thick enough to chew. 2017. Tulane hell outside San Antonio. Headlights carve up the night. A 6-year-old boy stumbles onto the road, shirt slick with blood. Mom Alina on the phone, voice tearing apart. They're full of it. He didn't even. Words break like glass. Call ends. Crash to crime scene shots. Pickup windshield starred like a shattered kaleidoscope. Inside, a body bag zipped shut. Coroner's report. Blunt force. Homicide. Only witness. A kid who can't form words. Prosecutor leans in, dripping confidence like cheap cologne. Timeline solid. Alibi solid. Jury nods along like a metronome set to guilty. Life sentence lands. Alina's testimony, poof, vanished, never made the record, never even breathed in that courtroom. Courtroom sketch freezes. Alina in the gallery, mouth wide open, screaming into a soundproof bubble. Judge's gavel, case closed. Innocence Project's file spells it out. Mother's account could have backed up the boy's story. Judge never let it in. Source, Court Listener Opinion, 2023. Now here's the twist, that buried testimony. It wasn't just ignored, it got sealed. Judge stamped it irrelevant. But irrelevant to who? Appellate opinion hits like a grenade. Skipping key witness testimony, that's not just sloppy, it guts the whole verdict. Source, Texas Attorney General Press Release, 2023. Alina's handwriting surfaces in 2023, some storage unit, gathering dust. Says she saw it all. Saw who really swung that bat. Saw the truth that could have freed her boy. One question nobody asked in 18. If a mom's words could have saved an innocent man, why'd they bury them before the trial even started? Courthouse doors yawn open. Voss gets shuffled toward the van. Alina stands in the parking lot, envelope crushed in her grip. Inside, a future she was told didn't exist. File drawer locks with a final thud. This time, the truth doesn't get locked back up. The title slams onto the screen like a gavel. Mother's buried testimony freed a murderer while child lived. And below it, a jagged timeline oozes from 2017 to 2024. That 7-year stretch, yep, that's where justice went sideways. Hit rewind. Let's go back to the night everything flipped inside out. Alina's hands tremble on camera, half her face swallowed by darkness. She's talking from a place even her own shadow can't track. He had glass in his feet. He wouldn't stop crying. He kept saying, "Daddy did it." Those words, sharp, trembling, hit the 911 operator's ear first. A panicked, stuttering cry that should have been the star exhibit, the one piece of evidence that actually mattered. But it just disappeared. What the jury ended up seeing was a timeline built on quicksand. The state's big star witness, a doctor who swore the victim's body was dumped in a trash bin, except surprise, the body never showed up. And the alibi? A gas station receipt stamped hours after the crime, timed to look like an ironclad cover-up. A receipt that, if anyone had pushed back, would have folded like a house of cards. Old footage flickers, yellow police tape, a kid's hospital bed, a mom's face pressed against the glass. The system moved at warp speed, way too fast, and smack in the middle of the chaos, a public defender drowning in files he could barely lift. Mark Chen's voice cracks on the voicemail, each word heavier than the last. "I never pushed back on the timeline. I figured the prosecution had it locked. I messed up." That recording, it's the nearest thing to an apology this machine ever produced. Now brace yourself. This is where things tilt sideways. The Innocence Project's case file, the one place this story still breathes, lays it out. The trial court left Alina's testimony on the cutting room floor. Not just overlooked, erased. Their written ruling even admits it. The mother's testimony could have backed up the child's survival. But no one fought to slide it in front of the jury. Why? Because no one had to lift a finger. The defense never filed the paperwork to bring her story into court. Years later, the New York Times dug into the mess and found the same yawning gap. The defense never filed a motion. Just crickets, a procedural yawn. A court record screenshot flashes, State v. John Doe, and the appellate ruling lands like a punch. The trial court omitted the mother's testimony. Legalese for, we tossed the truth in the trash. Here's the kicker: years later, when the truth finally clawed its way out, the Texas AG's office admitted it. Procedural blunders. A key witness unrecorded, a timeline unchallenged, a lie allowed to stand unchecked. A 2020 Law Review article spits it straight. Omitted testimony is a common thread in wrongful convictions. In this case, it's their poster child. Meanwhile, the kid who lived, Leo, grew up under the weight of a verdict that never should have seen the light of day. His father rotted in prison for a crime that never existed. Texas called it justice. The Innocence Project called it a procedural disaster. And Alina, still on the run, because the system that failed her the first time might not be done failing her. The screen bleeds to black. The real question isn't just how this unspooled. It's why no one slammed the brakes before it was too late. Okay, so who actually wanted Alina's voice shut down for good? We get this low-angle shot, right? Like the camera's looking up at this rusted prison door as it slams shut, the sound just hanging there like some kind of final sentence. Here, that's where things take a real dark turn. A private eye hired by the victim's family ended up admitting on record that his whole job was digging up dirt on Alina. Anything that could bury her before she even got the chance to say her piece. They told me to find anything on Alina, her immigration stuff, her past. If she got deported, her testimony wouldn't hold up at all. Source, Texas Attorney General's Office, 2023. This guy wasn't just doing his job. He was out there hunting for anything he could use to silence her. And guess what? He found it. Alina's legal status, shaky at best. Undocumented, one wrong move, one word out of place, and she'd be gone, vanished into the system. No one would ever hear her side of the story, but here's the messed up part. Richard's brother, yeah, the victim's own brother, had been paying Alina's rent for years. Not because he was being nice. Nope, pure control. As long as she kept her mouth shut. We see this stack of faded rent receipts, the amount circled in red like someone was really making sure we noticed. The camera lingers on the name scribbled at the bottom, Richard's brother. That's the kind of leverage you don't see coming. A checkbook used like a muzzle. For over a decade, Alina lived in this constant state of fear, caught between deportation and staying silent. And all that time, Richard's family, they kept their little secret buried deep. The trial never even considered her side. Then out of nowhere, the sound of a child's whisper cuts through the silence until now. Leo was just 6 when his dad got arrested, 6 years old, watching his whole world just fall apart. His mom, Alina, told him never to speak. And he listened, for years, but now, at 13, something finally snapped. There's this therapy session, dim lights, Leo sitting at this tiny wooden table, gripping a crayon way too tight. His drawing, some guy holding a knife, is shaking in his hands. The therapist leans in, voice real gentle. Leo, did you ever tell anyone what you saw that night? A long pause, then just barely a whisper. He said he'd kill me if I told. Close up on Leo's face, tears cutting through the dirt on his cheek. That's not some kid's overactive imagination. That's a threat, etched into his memory before he even knew what a courtroom was. Source, Innocence Project Case File, 2018. And here's where the system dropped the ball. Again, the trial never heard Alina's side, never saw Leo's fear, never questioned why a mom would vanish with her kid instead of standing in that courtroom. But Leo's voice, that's the game changer. Because when a kid finally speaks up after years of being told to stay silent, that's when the truth starts to unravel. And the people who tried to bury it, they're about to get the weight of every single word, the giggle you caught just now. That's Leo's voice bouncing off these walls. Right now, it's the only noise cutting through the silence where his sister's voice should be. This isn't just one messed up case. It's a system that starts crumbling when people choose shortcuts over doing what's right. Dusty court files stack up in basements across this state, thousands of statements left untouched, like letters nobody ever opened. How many folks are locked up today because someone forgot to hit record? How many kids like Leo grow up watching the truth get shoved aside by clerical mistakes? The Texas AG's crew didn't sugarcoat it when they called this out. Missing witness logs aren't just typos, they're fractures in the whole justice structure. And every fracture lets the shadows of injustice creep in. Leo's not sitting around hoping justice stumbles his way. At 13, he's already mapped out law school in his head so nobody else has to carry what he's been through. His words don't just show courage. They're a direct challenge to anyone listening. The real question is whether this system can change. It's whether we'll actually step up and make it happen. So let's get moving. Demand every courtroom install open recording systems. If you've ever been silenced, tell your story. Stand beside survivors like Leo, who didn't just lose a sister, he lost years of his life trying to keep the truth alive. Make them answer. And swear those buried testimonies never see another dark basement. Broken systems don't heal themselves, but they can't ignore a chorus of voices demanding change.